read the title of this video and you've thought to yourself, what's she talking about? What will Bubbles do? Who is Bubbles? My name is Sylvia Michetti. Well, allow me to introduce you to my very special Bubbles. She's my favorite 2-year-old and a faithful companion of mine whom I've learned so much from in the last 2 years. I cannot believe how much love a dog can show its owner, regardless of who and what you are. Nor did I ever imagine that I would be learning so much from her, teaching me lots of life experiences that actually touch my soul. And it's no wonder that in many instances, I find myself asking myself, what will Bubbles do? As you know, it's Easter Sunday, and for me, Easter is always a time that represents the love that Jesus Christ taught us as a way of life, and that sacrifice that he endured for our mistakes. That unconditional love is something that is so rare amongst human beings these days. But I find it so abundantly in my dog, in pets, and in domestic animals in general. Many people wonder, why is it that human beings love their pets so much? But the real question is, why do they love us so unconditionally that it becomes inevitable that we must love them back so affectionately, even more than the human beings around us? Obviously, it points to the fact that it is what you give that you receive, and vice versa. And with my dog, for instance, there's nowhere that I go to, no matter how long I've been away from. The moment I walk through that door, the love that she shows me by way of her actions, her cuddles, her kisses, her rolling on the floor in excitement, the jumping up and down to express her joy, it's beyond what I could ever imagine. That genuine love that is non-judgmental, non-verbal, not complaining, just unconditional. Just, I love you in every moment that I set my eyes on you. I don't hear her saying, oh, where have you been? How many hours did you plan to leave me here? Or, I don't like the food you're feeding me. Why don't we order McDonald's? They just love you as you are, flawless in their eyes. They trust that you are that loyal friend that will feed them and care for them and love them accordingly. And they reciprocate that love back to you. They're called man's best friend for this reason, because it's hard to find such traits in humans. Our love tends to come with numerous conditions. We love only as long as it's convenient, or as long as we can tolerate each other, or as long as there's a reward at the end of that love. We moan, we grumble, we fight, we argue, we scream, we shout, and then we say, I love you. But Bubbles would not do that. So how is it that animals are able to give us that unconditional love that Jesus wanted for us, that he demanded from us, and yet we can't seem to give it to ourselves? And this really lies in the fact that we haven't learned to love ourselves unconditionally first, before even being able to extend that love to those around us. We don't know what is demanded of us as we canvass this university of the universe. It's a school, but we lack the knowledge of the rules that govern this place. That dog or that cat or that pet knows what it is, knows what is expected of her, and why giving joy to her owner is fulfilling for her, because she gives her joy to herself in that process as well. So in many instances, as crazy as it sounds, I find myself asking out loud whenever I'm about to complain or lay into somebody or get upset. I simply ask myself, what will Bubbles do? Will she be shouting and complaining? Or will she just find it enough to be her joyful self and love you as you are, unconditionally, despite your many faults and weaknesses and vices? And I have learned so much from this little creature, amongst other things, how she's able to love herself enough not to compromise her health. For instance, a few months ago, Bubbles wasn't feeling very well. And for days, you couldn't get her to eat. Even her favorite food was there for her, and she would deliberately stay away from eating and drank only water for about 3 or 4 days, which really scared me. And I thought to myself, how many of us humans understand that the body doesn't actually need food when it's ill because it lacks the energy to break it down? So actually abstaining from food at that time is the best option. Nature even helps us by making sure that we don't have an appetite when we're ill. But we still say, oh, you have to eat, you need your energy, you have to eat. How many of us love ourselves enough to abstain from food in order to heal our bodies or even find alignment with ourselves spiritually by going on a fast, rather than just constantly piling on food and keeping the body in a dense place? Dogs know when to stop eating when they're full, but do we? And that is part of the love that we should show ourselves. When Christ said, love thy neighbor as thyself, it means that you must already know how to love yourself. Otherwise, how can you love your neighbor? And therein lies the problem for most of us today, in the sense that we don't know what unconditional love for self really means, let alone try to extend it to someone else. From my experience in the last couple of years, I realized that it wasn't until I began to love myself enough to truly know what I truly want from life, what is truly important to my soul, and how to live my life so that I can bring joy to myself and extend it to those around me. It wasn't until this awareness came and it became the very foundation for how I live did I truly realize those words that Christ meant. Love thy neighbor as thyself means you must know thyself. You must not harm thyself. You must love thyself. And you must give the same to thy neighbor and not harm him as well. The work is to love thyself first and be able to conquer your fears and your vices and your weaknesses. And that is no easy task. It's not something you accomplish in a day. It takes immense courage and resilience and self-discipline. And when that happens, you then shape your environment in such a way that through your own actions, your neighbor is already loved. So this Easter season, let us tap into the message that Jesus Christ left us by learning what it truly means to love unconditionally. And if you're like me and you run into a pickle every now and again, just look around you in all humility and ask yourself, what will Bubbles do? Until next time, invest in yourself. Find value in who you are. Let your words and your actions reflect your worthiness to this mighty university where we have simply come to learn about ourselves, to learn about creation, to learn about ourselves in creation. Until next time, bye for now.